We are supposed to get a whole bunch of rain in this next little while. Windy outside right now, just windy. I didn't feel like going for a run this morning, so push-ups today. So some other things going on in the shop today. I got these scales done. I wanted something different, so I machined these little grooves in there. Got the relief for my thumb. And these are actually gonna be really comfortable. They'll sit on this Father Hunter. Yeah, there's that. Some more of these last ditch neckers thrown in. Now, one question I get asked a lot is how do you get a really good dark etch when you're acid etching your knife? The first thing, in my opinion, one of the most important is if you're doing an entire blade, like say these little last ditch neckers, you need a really consistent surface finish. The best way that I've found to do that for stuff like this is with the sandblast cabinet. Stick them in the sandblast cabinet along with my GoPro so you can see what's going on, and I'll sandblast them. I do the sandblasting after heat treat, that way you can get all the residue and all the built up stuff, you know, the scale from heat treating. I'll also sandblast them after tempering just to make sure there's nothing else on there, and then once that's done, they're ready to go in the acid. Now, the acid that I use is a mixture of 75% ferric chloride and 25% apple cider vinegar. Different steels are gonna etch differently, and then also the surface condition. You know, with these being sandblasted, they're fairly coarse, like they're not smooth. You know, if I were to take these to a mirror polish and then acid etch them, it's gonna be different time, it's gonna have a certain level of darkness, and then usually also I'll go over it with the stone washing the tumbler. So this one's been in here for about 5 minutes, and as you see, it's pretty nice. That's a nice dark etch there, and that was about 5 minutes in the 75-25 ferric chloride apple cider vinegar. So here you can see you've got a nice acid etch on there, nice and dark, nice and even. Don't mind that, that's just dust, but the finish right now is good. If you want to leave this just as a acid wash, this is really nice. From here you can do a stone wash. I like stone washes. The biggest reason I like stone washes is because when you have these little scratches all over, it kind of gives a little character to the blade, but then it also helps, you know, this is gonna have a Kydex sheath. Acid etches, especially if you have the whole blade done, you go in and out of a Kydex sheath a few times, it's gonna start wearing that off. And I don't care how good your Kydex is or how good your acid etch is, that's just the nature of it. I mean, there's friction. Kydex, typically we use friction to hold whatever it is in the sheath, and that happens. So I find that acid etch kind of naturally highlights those rub points and mars them, so it really doesn't look like it ages much at all. Now, I'll put a link up in the corner to this little tumbler that I made. It's a real simple project. Inside, I've got some larger rocks, a few larger ones, and then the rest just kind of small ones. Often I'll do 2 or 3 knives, depending on the size. Usually I try to do more than just 1 knife at a time, but just for the sake of getting this done while I have some other stuff going on, we're gonna do the one. Also, a gentleman on Instagram, Holden Knives, had asked what RPM I was running at, because he's looking to build his own stone tumbler. Once it's running, I'm gonna see what kind of RPM we have, give you a bit of an idea. Now, it's actually running too slow to get a measurement on my tachometer, but when I count the rotation, I get just over 2 seconds for 1 rotation. So we're doing about 30 RPM. The one thing to consider with something like this is that I first tried to set up like this in my metal lathe, and I think the slowest I could get was like 160 RPM, and it was actually too fast. The stones wouldn't tumble, they'd all just kind of, centrifugal force would hold them to the outside, and it would just spin in there, and it was quiet and obviously lopsided, but you want something slow enough that things are just falling and falling. Typically I will do 20 minutes. So I'll plug this in, we'll run it for 20 minutes, we'll come back and I'll show you the finish you get out of here. All right, that's 20 minutes, let's see what we got. Hit up with some WD-40, I like that. See how it just kind of knocks the high spots off? That, my friends, is a wicked edge. This acid etching, this pattern isn't overly aggressive. Like, a lot of them have a lot more rock scratches. And when I want that, all I'll do is just take some type of a large container and put the rocks in there and actually just violently shake it. I gotta put this thing down, shake it back and forth. Anyways, I hope this video helped you out, guys. I get a lot of questions about how I finish my knives, and particularly, especially on Instagram, you know, every time I put a picture of an acid etch blade, people are like, how on earth are you getting it that dark? And so it's 75% ferric chloride, 25% apple cider vinegar. On that subject, I've never actually changed my ferric chloride either. I've been using the same batch, the same tube, probably for like 3 years, and I mean, it works. It's one of these things where I keep using it and I haven't seen any reason yet to stop. I know a lot of times like your quench oils, you know, you need to keep those fresh, but I haven't noticed any lack of performance from my acid, so I just leave it as it is. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.